Good morning all, welcome to the Saturday preview with me, Dave Massey. It is a Saturday morning, it's around about 9:20. Normally we do this on a Friday, but very late home from Warwick last night. It took me best part of 2 hours and more in fact to get home from Warwick last night with all the flooding in Derbyshire. Had a sort of knock-on effect down the M1 and whatnot. They weren't letting cars into Derby at 7 o'clock last night, which was creating all sorts of problems for the local traffic. So I decided not to do the video last night because the last thing you need to see is me when I'm tired and grumpy and hungry. So I thought I'd leave it till this morning to do. Wincanton's the main focus. There is a race to mention at Aintree, which I'll do first. And of course, for those of you that's going to Southall tonight, I might have one or two more a bit later on Southall. If there's anything I fancy, I'll tweet them up. And I have put Henrietta's Dream up yesterday. I think she's a very interesting runner in that first race at Southall. Again, it might not be tonight for Henrietta's Dream. It might be, but even if it's not, keep her on your trackers because Robin Brisland is getting a team together for the all-weather at Southall this winter for the Fibre Sand. He said so as much about a month ago in an interview, but wouldn't give anything away that day. So he's definitely got one or two that he's going to be launching at big prices. You need to be sort of keeping an eye out for anything that Robin runs at the track that's a big price that appears to have no chance because those are the ones that tend to win with Robin. Anyway, first of all, we'll give him the Aintree race I mentioned. I haven't put it up as a bet, but the 1:30, the 2 miler, is a very interesting little race. It should be run at a solid pace. You've got the Flying Portrait in here, who's very much a sort of heart on his sleeve horse. He'll be off in front, making this a decent tempo. And there's a couple of others in the race that like to push on as well. I thought it might be set up for something just to sort of sit off and come with a winning run. On better ground, Lillington would have been mildly interesting. I know he got stuffed out of sight at Kempton, first run of the season, which is a slight concern. And he only got dropped £1 for that as well. I think he might need a run or two more before he finally gets there. And the form of the Tizard Yard's a little bit patchy. I'll come to that again a bit later on for one or two of his short priced ones. But Collins he's only had the 2 winners in the past 2 weeks. Okay, they were good winners, Slate House and Lost in Translation, don't get me wrong. But other than that, he's had a few that have been well backed and that are quite short prices that have been a bit disappointing. But Lillington, mildly interesting, I thought. And similarly, Solar Impulse. I think this might be set up for Solar Impulse. He did run okay at Kempton last time out. Finished second to Adrastos, the improving Adrastos. The ground should be okay for Solar Impulse. He seems to act on all grounds, and he is going to get this run to suit. But he's just dead hard to catch right. I think a decent run 2 mile is still probably what he wants. I know he's been sort of tried over further, but I think a decent run 2 mile will be suiting down to the ground. There are concerns for me, in so much as. With all respect to Dave Cross, he's an all right jockey. He's not one of my favourites, I have to say. I think I'd prefer a jockey that's a bit more in form on board him. And 7-1 is short enough. I was angling for sort of double figures for a bet for Solar Impulse, given that he doesn't win that often. But it just wouldn't surprise me if he popped up today, got one all said and done. I think he's got a chance. But I'm happy to sort of leave it as a sit and wait and see what happens to the prices. And concentrate on the Wincanton card. The 1:15 is Wincanton 2.5 mile handicap chase. Been money for an Ola Gay, the Venetia chasers offer an absence angle coming to fall for that, and it's had a wind up, so it's blindingly obvious. But again, there's pace in this. Orlando Bloom likes to go from the front. Bramble Buck tends to push on. And Boulder Kerr's made it in the past. So they won't be going slowly. And again, I thought that might suit another Ian Williams runner, Poker School, who gets probably what he needs, right-handed 2.5 miles. And he was a bit unlucky at Exeter last time. He unseated his rider when it wasn't really his fault. He had a faller in front of him and gave Charlie Todd no chance whatsoever. With this being a conditionals race, Charlie can take a valuable £6 off here as well. I think that's definitely going to help his chance. So I'm just hoping they do go a pace, and it's worth pointing out, Poker School, of course, course and distance winner here in April. He's only £1 high today. I probably wouldn't want the ground to get too bad. Will you excuse me one sec? Joys of hay fever again this morning. Probably wouldn't want the ground to get too deep. There is some rain around at Wincanton, but equally, I think the ground was on the quick side of good anyway. So I think it'll be, even if there is a little bit of rain, it's not gonna tip it sort of anything worse than good to soft at worst. So I don't think that's a problem, and I think Focus Score's worth a small each way bet. The 150, the mares race, lost a bit of interest for me yesterday at the declaration stage. I was all for going with Oscar Rose here for an informed Fergal O'Brien, but didn't get declared. I've lost a bit of money on post as well, which is always good, isn't it? One or two old favourites in here. Kentford Heiress, who did us a massive favour at Haydock last year. I think she's got a squeak at a big price. 60s Bell's an interesting one. First run for Tom Simons. She's an improving horse all last year. Kept improving. She was a horse I stuck with, actually. And I'm glad I did. She came good eventually. She'll win more this year, but I think she's probably going to need the first run back since May. And the one I'm going to go with is Deputy Oscar here. She's already won a couple this autumn. Looked a much improved horse when hosing up at Market Raise and over 2 mile. And then she had to make her own pace last time under a penalty as well at Market Raise. And then she still found plenty to beat the well-backed Misty Whiskey. I thought that was a good run, given that she got nothing in her favour there. And carrying the penalty was tough enough, even without the fact that she had to make her own running. So I think she's an improving sort. She's only a couple of pound higher here than that win. Marker 120 looks absolutely fine. She won't mind a bit of cutting the ground. She's absolutely fine with it. She's an improving horse. She's fit. She's well. She goes right-handed. And you got Stuart Edmonds as the trainer. And I've said all along, I've never sort of hidden my admiration for Stuart as a trainer. I think he's fantastic. I really do. I think he's one of the best half dozen trainers in the country. Why he doesn't get more better horses, I do not know. I think if this had P. Nichols by its name, it'd be a 5-1 chance, not an 8-1 chance. And also, I think we're getting a bit of value for Deputy Oscar. She deserves a chance in this field, and I still think she's well weighted. She'll do for me. I like her chance a lot here, Deputy Oscar. 225 is the Rising Stars. I mentioned Comanche Red yesterday, and I am having a bet. I do really like Comanche Red as a project this season. Ultimately, you might find one or two too good here. That's not a given, by the way. That's not a given. Again, we're back to the sort of Colin Tizard having the favourite angle here. 8 to 11 reserve Tank, given that sort of Tizard form. Do you want to back 8 to 11? A yard that's just had 2 winners out of about 20 runners, 25 runners in the last 2 weeks? I don't know. We know all about Reserve Tank. We've known he's going to make a chaser this year. We get all those sort of angles, and he performed perfectly well first time out at Chepstow. I know there was only the 3 runners, but he jumped well in the main, apart from one mistake. I think this track will actually suit him better than Chepstow too. So he remains the one to beat, but again, I wouldn't be frightened of anything with Comanche Red this season, because I think, a mark at the moment at 135. That's sort of the worry for me, that they're going to try and sort of keep him around that 135 to 140 mark for handicaps, because I think he's capable. I think he's capable of £10 higher than this mark, and maybe more as a chaser this year. It's that old cliche of whatever he was doing last year over hurdles was definitely some sort of a bonus. He was always going to make a chaser. He's a lovely, gorgeous chasing type that I've been really looking forward to this year. And he did nothing at Warwick to put me off that impression. Over a trip that was too short for him, over 2 mile, he jumped really well. He took it up on the far side. He had them under the cosh turning in. I thought for a few strides he might win. And then fitness has just told on him basically. In the closing stages, he's got beaten just over 5 lengths by Nube Negra. Nube Negra has since come out putting another exhibition around at Fakenham to make that look like solid form. He'll come on plenty for that. I really wouldn't put you off a win bet at 14s here. I genuinely wouldn't. I think he's better than that. Even if it's not today, he's a horse to keep on side for the rest of the season. And the other one, the 335, the Badger Ales, it's a race where I'm going to have a bet, but I'm not totally struck on the race. I think there's a few at the short front end of the market that I sort of want to oppose, including White Moon, who I'm not sure will put 2 runs together. There's 1 or 2 old boys in here that look well handicapped now, the likes of the Young Master. Present Man, of course, you've got to give chances to. This is his race, as it were, but it is worth bearing in mind that Present Man, who won this last year, he won it by 2.5 lengths from Some Kind of King. Bryony can't claim the 3 this year. So effectively, although him and Some Kind of King are on the same marks, effectively he's £3 worse in, per se. So why Present Man is 11 to 2 and Some Kind of King is a 12's chance is a little bit of a mystery to me. You'd have the two, to me anyway, a lot closer than that together in the betting. And I think Some Kind of King has to be a bit of value at 12s because he looked badly in need of the run behind Wandering Star here when White Moon was going to win and tipped up at the last. He just looked badly in need of the run. And given that, I think he'll come on a bit for that. Handicap has dropped him £1. We know he acts well at Wincanton. The ground should be absolutely fine for him. As I say, we're not going to get like deluges of rain, although he acts with a bit of cut. That's fine. So I liked his chance here at 12 to 1. I think he's got plenty going for him for a yard that is going well this autumn, Tom George. And I've had a little bit each way on him. In that race as well, second was Boda Brise, and you can make a case for him at 16s as well. But he was fitter. He'd already had an outing at Ludlow when he was second behind Marble Moon. And I think Some Kind of King will be the one that benefits more from that race. So I've had a bit each way on him as well. So there we go. That's today's racing. Is there what I would call an outstanding bet in there? I don't think there's an outstanding bet. I'd be very hopeful with Comanche Red. I think he'd be the one for me. 14 to 1 looks value. And as I say, he's a horse to follow this year. Right, guys, the hay fever's kicking in again. So I'll say thank you very much. And I'll see you all again on Tuesday. Have a good weekend.